It is the second time in 6 years that HMV has called in the administrators. In 2013, it was able to find a buyer, and there are more than 2,000 employees who'll be hoping it can do the same now. Not to mention the many music fans who'll be hoping it isn't the last we've heard of his master's voice. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
Retail analyst Kate Hardcastle joins me now from Leeds. Very good to talk to you, Kate. Well, what do you think about the future, if any, for HMV? Any chance of a last-minute reprieve?
I want to be very respectful to the thousands of workers at HMV who will be extremely concerned this evening, having just served one of the busiest periods in retail, which is really hard work. But we have to be very honest about the retail situation, not just for HMV, but for many middle market stores. Unfortunately, the trading is just extremely difficult. Not only have we got the rise of online now taking 20% of what we do, but the music industry is particularly hit by streaming services. And the only way I can see a future for it was, as I actually said back in 2013, a more niche brand focusing on specialist music with experts with much less retail presence in high streets, more of an online expertise forum, and gathering together people who are passionate about music, serving the industry as a specialist once more.
I mean, do you think they should have seen it coming in 2013? I mean, the streaming services were around then, and yet they stuck with this model of the physical CDs and DVDs. I mean, so do you think there have been management errors?
Strategically, I couldn't understand the choices they made in 2013. Even as late as April of this year, when they made some management changes, they were saying they were performing strongly. So perhaps I felt that I'd got things wrong. But I'm afraid today's news, after a tough Christmas, has proven that perhaps actually that big model, big reseller of music without perhaps some of the nuances needed of the traditional high street record store just isn't going to work for today's customer. And it's extremely sad for everyone involved. But as I say, with nostalgia, it doesn't help save a company. You know, people are not going to feel charitable to helping a business to keep going just because they want to see a brand back on the high street.
Yeah, but a bit of nostalgia, as you described earlier, perhaps for vinyl might have helped. But isn't that really for really niche independent stores?
I think vinyl have seen an increase of nearly 20% increase in sales this year, which shows some real buoyancy. And the fact that when this pendulum swings more towards technology, we do like more tactile crafts and arts. So we've seen everything from baking, sewing and music vinyl, the tactile element, come back into play. But I think that needs to be coupled with real experts in a smaller environment where it feels more personable and more on a one-to-one basis, and not this mass vanilla style brand where you don't get the personality behind it. Music lovers, music fans really appreciate speaking to people who understand their language in many different genres. And HMV just had a very large store format to be able to achieve that.
Are there any parallels with the big booksellers? I'm thinking in particular of Waterstones, who seem to have gone through a rocky patch and re-emerged in some degree of health, because there are obviously big parallels between the selling of physical books and DVDs and things like that.
You're absolutely right to point that out. But we also remember the likes of Borders that came across that didn't survive. I think there's only a role for so many of these retailers, and they've got to be specialists. So if you look at some of the successes Waterstones have, it's been about book signings, events, bringing children back into literacy. And I think if there is a future for HMV, or indeed looking at the successes of some of the small independent music shops, it's all about that. How do they connect with the local music scene, the local musicians? How do they look like they're supporting that industry? And how do they get a part of what is a growth within music, which is live entertainment? Because we're certainly spending more in the entertainment and the experience economy.
I mean, there is also the issue for any retailer with a presence on a high street in a physical fashion of the tax treatment. If you're an international company with big warehouses wherever you like, you're treated differently.
There's no denying that online has a simpler life when it comes to taxes, and absolutely the rent and rates of setting up a shop is very difficult indeed. And that's not helped with other matters. We know that things like parking, accessibility, not sociable opening hours, you know, the 9 to 5:30 doesn't work anymore, have all helped to to create this downturn in traditional shopping, people wanting to buy at speed online and get on with other activities. But there still are green shoots, there still are grassroots. And, online isn't without its challenges either. It has a different set of buy-in regulations, which means it has much more generous return policies. It sees a lot of returns. It's got delivery and operational challenges. And whilst I'm not asking you to pity that sector, I am asking you to remind yourself that actually a lot of online retailers try it offline and vice versa too. If you're going to trade in this environment, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Online exists, and you have to create a business that can succeed in spite of it or as well as it.
OK, Kate, thanks very much. For the time being, I say that because I'm sure we'll be talking an awful lot more in the next couple of weeks when all those Christmas retailing figures come out. Be prepared. OK, Kate, thanks very much. Kate Hardcastle there.